A brain tumor is a rare and frightening diagnosis. Every year in this country, 10,000 people get the horrible news. Some symptoms of a brain tumor are often subtle, and the signs can escape the most trained eye. Tonight, 16 by 9's Beatrice Politi tells us about some shocking new health information everyone should know.
Middle of last summer, I developed a little twitch in my left eye.
There was concentration issues, all kinds of stuff, memory issues.
I didn't have a symptom. I never had a headache.
I kept going back to the doctor, and they just kept saying, you gotta rest, go home, rest, rest, rest.
Two men, outwardly healthy, with little to warn them of what was coming next.
Okay.
Jim Anderson was just married with a young child.
You're a good boy, eh? Daddy's big boy?
Bill Manners was looking forward to seeing his grandkids grow up. Both lives invaded.
He said, you have a tumor, and it's huge.
By a subtle killer.
I had 3 brain tumors.
A tumor is an abnormal growth of cells. It can be inside the brain or around it. Usually in medicine, early diagnosis and treatment is your best chance for recovery. But recognizing the signs and symptoms of a brain tumor can be challenging, even for those trained to see them. Neurosurgeon Dr. Mark Bernstein.
The signs can be frighteningly subtle. The symptoms can be those of mild depression. They can be headaches. Some people just have a mild mood disorder. They're a little off, a little fatigued.
There can be hearing impairment, problems with vision, morning nausea and vomiting, and weakness. So last summer, when 38-year-old Jim Anderson noticed his eye was twitching, he didn't think much of it.
Most of the time, if I looked to the right, I corrected it, it stopped.
But one day last October, there was no stopping it.
My left eye went left, there was nothing I could do about it, and then my head went left, and then that was it.
The seizure seemed to be the first definitive sign anything was wrong. But Anderson had had others, he just didn't know it. Dr. Warren Mason, medical director of the Jerry and Nancy Pencer Brain Tumor Center in Toronto.
Seizures can be very subtle. They can be unusual smells, unusual tastes, strange emotional states such as fear or panic, déjà vu or jamais vu. Anderson's diagnosis? Oligodendroglioma, a grade 2 slow-growing tumor. It had probably been festering for years.
Jen and I just held and cried for a little bit, for a minute or so until it settled in, and then once it kind of settled in, we realized, okay, well, you know, now what?
It's meant test after test, MRI after MRI, and surgery.
Gliomas are like cotton balls in the brain. Let's take this cotton ball and put it into a bowl of unset jello, and then let the jello set. To remove every single strand of this cotton ball without removing some of the jello would be almost impossible, because they're intermixed.
Doctors removed 30% of Anderson's tumor, but left the rest behind for fear he would lose his speech and movement.
It was me, before and after. I feel ripped off. We anticipated a long life ahead of us, and you know, it's hard now.
As much as Anderson is an innocent victim in all of this, he looks at his family and thinks,
I feel guilty.
Radiation has helped control the tumors still inside Anderson's brain. Radiation oncologist Dr. Arjun Sagal treated Anderson.
It's interesting that something so large can exist in your head and you might not even know it.
That's right. That's how a low-grade tumor works, because it causes these changes, but it's not pushing on the brain. There's slight pushing on the brain, but the brain can adapt. It's a moldable type of organ.
Even after radiation, Monday to Friday for 5 weeks, the foreign body still casts a long shadow.
It's about arresting the cells from growing and really kind of keeping them at bay for as long as we can until they wake up again.
Sadly, it's only a matter of time.
The problem with all of these tumors is that regrowth is expected in a more aggressive fashion.
7 to 10 years is what my lifespan is.
3 months to a year.
Hopefully we'll be able to catch it through normal channels.
52-year-old Bill Manners has some contempt for those normal channels.
So in December 2008, I was actually having a bath and I had some kind of attack. A lot of pressure in my head, so I crawled out to my living room naked and called the ambulance.
Manners says he was diagnosed with an inner ear imbalance. It was the culmination of 2 years' worth of doctor's visits.
I just didn't feel right.
He experienced mood swings, personality changes, only to be told by doctors.
I needed an antidepressant. I was stressed. It made no sense to me at all. I had a stressful job for 25 years. Stress never was an issue with me.
Manners pushed doctors to take a closer look. Then 3 months later, as he was about to take a stress test,
I woke up, I couldn't walk, I couldn't stand up.
Manners had had a stroke. An MRI showed he had what's called a glioblastoma multiforme, or GBM, the most malignant type of brain tumor.
I'm angry because I should have known. I should have known back in December.
With that diagnosis, Manners traveled to the University Health Network in Toronto to begin care.
On average, today, a patient with a glioblastoma lives between 12 and 18 months.
You can see here that Bill really has multiple areas of disease.
Though a difficult case to treat, Manners has done remarkably well.
You can see that still there are some areas that are remaining, although smaller, but other areas that have completely disappeared.
As devastating as the diagnosis can be, brain tumors remain exceedingly rare.
I think it's important to realize that there are many different kinds of brain tumors, and it's quite possible to continue to live a fairly normal life for an extended period of time.
For these men, time is the most precious gift.
Well, right now I'm just focused on concentrating on surviving.
I want to do everything I do every morning. I want to wake up, I want to hold my son, I want to love my wife, I want to walk with my wife, I want to have the ability to spend time with my family. That's it. Simple now.